Okay, now to organized retail theft. It's why here in Washington, you can't go to the grocery store and buy deodorant or a razor or cold medicine or baby formula or a bottle of wine without having a locked cabinet to get through to get that item in your hands. Or in some cases, some stores just say, okay, we'll grab that for you, we'll meet you up at the check stand and you can pick it up there because we don't trust you to carry it out of the store. And that's because we have the highest rate of retail theft in the state of Washington. So now we had a program, a pilot program that just went into effect this last year. I'm pretty sure it was $1 million. Don't quote me on that, but it was roughly $1 million that went out to counties and cities to help law enforcement work more with organizations combating this organized retail theft. It's not just a guy who's hungry for a sandwich going to steal something from the deli. Oftentimes, these are folks that have gone in with a list sent in by very organized retail criminals. This is what you're going to take. This is how you're going to do it. This is what you're going to get in exchange. Many of these people are in drug addiction and are doing this to feed their own addiction. In exchange, we've got organized retail criminals making a lot of money, stealing a lot of money from our retailers, and ultimately it leads to increased costs in the stores. And it leads to a whole bunch of frustration. So Governor Ferguson vetoed $500,000 in this year's supplemental operating budget. He did it at the last minute. It was to kind of continue this pilot program, which has been finding some success. There have been far more prosecutions of folks that have been caught up in this, or caught in this, I should say. Maybe it's two, three, five, how many times you have to get caught shoplifting, if you will, before they actually prosecute you. But there have been far more prosecutions in the last year because of this pilot program. So they're seeing success, and retailers are saying, give us some more. Help us out a little bit more so we can keep our doors open. But instead, that veto came from Governor Ferguson at the very last minute. And he was asked about that by reporters just after signing the supplemental operating budget.
As Attorney General, I literally created a unit that prosecutes organized retail theft. Created a group of people get together, law enforcement, retailers, um, businesses, to talk about how we can improve that. So there are literally far more resources today to combat and actually bring cases of organized retail theft because not working in the AG's office than we ever had before. So no, I take it very seriously. At the same time, look, we've got a budget we have to balance, and there were cuts in this budget. Our state agencies took $1 billion in cuts. That's going to impact individuals and the work we do. So, I looked at anything that came through the budget pretty carefully.
Now, businesses in Washington state are losing more than 2.5 to $3 billion a year because of organized retail theft. And that in exchange means the state is missing out on, they estimate, $600 million in state and local tax collections every single year. State Representative Mari Levitt, a Democrat from University Place, she criticized the decision. She's worked a lot on legislation in recent years and has spent a great deal of time invested in this. She was very displeased when the governor issued that last minute veto of, again, what amounted to only a $500,000, $500,000 to help out address this problem. Now, in a statement, she wrote that the King County Prosecutor's Office January through June of last year, so just the first 6 months of 2025, they filed 142 retail theft cases. Probably just a drop in the bucket for those actually out committing those crimes, but it was 2.5 times more than the average across the previous 4 years. And she says in large part it was because of this money put into that pilot program that sort of helped law enforcement work with retail groups, work with businesses to say, this is the bad guy. This is the guy who's been in here time after time. Here's his handler. Let's go after these guys. And it's been working. So she wrote, she issued a statement after finding out about the governor's veto, um, writing that counties, including King, Snohomish, and Spokane, have used the funding from that pilot program to tackle this program. Here's part of what she said. I want to put that up on the screen for you to see. She said, basically, without these funds, we are unable to build on those successes, and the progress we have made has been put at risk. It leaves our small businesses at risk and does nothing to help customers and workers in our communities feel safe. It is short sighted and harmful to our neighborhoods. This veto will end up costing us far more than what was requested in this allocation. I also today got some comments back from the National Retail Federation, very upset about this. They sent me some of their stats, and I wanted to share this with you because I found it to be a little bit alarming. Um, I guess I didn't realize how dangerous some of these organized retail crime operators really are and how big of a deal it is. But their 2025 report, again, this is from the National Retail Federation, so not just specific to Washington. They say there's been a troubling shift in recent years in what they call ORC operations. That's the organized retail crime. So orc operations moving beyond physical store theft to more sophisticated forms. They told me 67% of retailers report the involvement of a transnational orc group in thefts against their company just in the past year. Now, I did reach back out to the office of Governor Bob Ferguson today asking for further explanation as to why he issued that last minute veto because as you saw in his explanation, he really just said, "Well, I did a lot while I was AG. We created these things and we've got these networks of folks working together now better than ever. And yet there's just not the money now because we had to make some difficult budgetary decisions." But he did not get into his logic as to why it made sense to do this veto when it sounds like, based on what I'm hearing from others, there's a lot more tax revenue at risk every year because we allow this to continue. So you had a half a million veto that maybe could have, produced a lot better results, including tax revenue for the state, let alone what it costs all of us when we go to the store. You're not just paying more for that loaf of bread because it costs more for the gas to get it there and, inflation, but it's more because the store has to hire the security guard to be outside. And the additional cameras and the bar turns that you have to go through to go in. All those things cost money and it translates to a higher bill at the store for us. So if I get anything back further from the governor, I did not in time for this podcast today, but if I do, I will certainly share that with you. I look forward to continuing to follow this story and look forward to a conversation as well with Representative Mari Levitt later this week. So we'll share that in an episode of Washington in Focus Daily later this week. So thank you for watching. Always appreciate and welcome you to check out our website at thecentersquare.com/Washington. Have a great rest of your day.